The GOG launcher is known for allowing you to put all of your game's libraries under one convenient launcher, but just like Steam, Epic, and itch.io, it's also got great games of its own. Here are the top 5 free GOG games you don't know about. Bloody Hell is a top-down bullet hell shooter where you play as an angel dove on a holy mission to kill Satan. The game feels a lot like Enter the Gungeon, except its semi-linear levels are all interconnected but broken up into different zones. Each zone has unique enemies and a new unlockable ability once you reach the end. The dodge and later double dodge are used frequently, as you can dodge over gaps or dodge through enemy bullets. The others include a grapple hook that lets you cross over gaps that can be used in conjunction with the dodge, and a chargeable laser that can break through rocks, which opens new paths or breaks through enemy shields. The game takes inspiration from Hollow Knight's healing and special attack mechanics, allowing you to use some of your rage meter to regain health at the cost of not being able to move while healing. Once the rage meter is full, you're able to use your ultimate, allowing you to zip around and deal damage. Enemies and certain objects drop bones, which can be collected and spent in shops on upgrades like more health or faster bullets, for example. The boss fights were the best part of the game, as each one is centered around your newfound ability, apart from the final boss, which is just an insanely rewarding challenge. If you're looking for a polished bullet hell game with great abilities and combat, then I recommend Bloody Hell. Symphonia is a 2D platformer where you play as a violinist exploring a musical world to discover how you fit into this musical universe. The movement is very creative and fits diegetically into the game's world. With the violin bow, you're able to stick it into pincushions and fling yourself far distances by timing the release properly. It's also used as a higher jump, allowing these movements to chain together. There's no enemies in the game, but the platforming is challenging enough to be rewarding. There's collectible music notes that don't actually get you anything, but can be a fun optional challenge and add to the music-themed charm. The world is intricately designed and full of tiny details, like these happy little robots that cheer you on, or these playable piano notes. If you're looking for a platformer with unique movement mechanics and a gorgeous world, then I recommend Symphonia. Symphonia is actually a student-made game, so if you're interested in making games like that, then stick around to hear about Southern New Hampshire's Game Dev program, the sponsor of today's video. What if you had the knowledge and experience to create your own video games and turn it into an actual career with opportunities for growth? SNHU has one of the largest accredited nonprofit online degree offerings in the country. In SNHU's Game Dev program, you'll learn how to create realistic dynamic gameplay experiences with game AI, game physics, 2D and 3D graphics, and interface design. You'll also learn computer programming languages like C++, C#, and Java. And you'll learn 3D modeling and texturing with game art software. SNHU is radically affordable. Their online tuition rates are some of the lowest in the nation. Go to snhu.edu/Keenangraz to see what the current average annual salary for a programmer is and request free information about the program. It only takes one click to find your calling by clicking the link in the description. Butcher is a fast-paced 2D shooter where you play as a cyborg programmed to eradicate the last remains of humanity. The shooting uses a lock-on aiming system that is snappy and satisfying to use. Its levels and combat rooms are designed in the style of arena shooters, with lots of verticality and platforms you can drop through. You're armed with just a shotgun and assault rifle at the beginning of the game, but unlock a flamethrower, grenade launcher, and railgun as you progress. Certain mini-boss enemies are more susceptible to specific weapons, so you'll want to switch weapons depending on what you're fighting. Each area contains a handful of short levels, and the theme of each area determines what enemies and hazards will be there. Like the jungle level, for example, has spike pits and piranha-filled water, while the city has flying cop cars that shoot missiles. Enemies drop ammo, shield, or health when they die, which keeps you on the move to be sure you're stashed up on ammo and health. Plus, you can hear them screaming as they bleed out, which is pretty hilarious. There are various stage hazards that are a nice touch to further incentivize movement. If you're looking for a gritty action shooter with movement-based combat and fun enemy types, then I recommend Butcher. Bullet Runner: The First Slaughter is a gun-centric twin-stick shooter that combines crazy movement and combat mechanics to fight your way to victory. The melee combat is surprisingly deep for a twin-stick shooter, having a glory kill-esque mechanic that can be performed on stunned enemies to get ammo back. There's also a separate kick attack on another timer that gives health back. The only other way to get ammo and health back is via refill stations outside of combat areas. You find new weapons as you progress through the game, but they can't be reloaded, further reinforcing the use of melee attacks and switching weapons frequently. A handful of new enemy types are also added along the way, with unique attacks, like mechs that leap around, or the mechanic that runs around building turrets, for example. As far as movement, there's a dodge roll and a dash to avoid attacks and bullets. Levels are broken up into combat rooms as you search for keys that unlock doors to new parts of the level, although there are some light puzzles that are a nice change of pace from the fast-paced combat, as well as some platforming once you get the chain. The chain serves multiple purposes, as it can also pull armor off otherwise invincible enemies, adding another wrinkle to combat. There's also a separate progression system where you can unlock perks by collecting blue vials. If you're looking for a very deep twin-stick shooter with an excellent progression system, then I recommend Bullet Runner: The First Slaughter. Dagon by H.P. Lovecraft is a narrative-driven cosmic horror adventure game where you face unspeakable horrors and succumb to madness. You play as a soldier set in World War I who gets captured but manages to escape on a boat, leading you on an unearthly journey to get back home. If you're familiar with H.P. Lovecraft's work, then you'll know there's a lot of theming that explores the psyche of the protagonist along with the dystopian sea creatures.
Unslike and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith.
I generally don't like visual novel type games, but the scenery here is so realistic and gritty that I couldn't help but wonder where he would go and what would happen next. You interact by clicking on parts of the world once the protagonist is done saying his excellently voice acted lines. If you're looking for a narrative adventure game with amazingly trippy visuals, then I recommend Dagon by H.P. Lovecraft. One SNHU funded bonus game!
Hello, I like money.
Martial Law is a depressing but heartwarming story-driven game about the difficulties that came with communism in Poland, told from the perspective of a poor single father. The story is touchingly human, being driven by just a few key characters, and shows the good side of humanity that can come despite hard situations. You go to various locations, talking to people, and are organically led down different paths based on decisions you make that lead to one of the game's several endings. If you're looking for a hopefully quaint and relaxing game, then I recommend Martial Law. Those were the top 5 free GOG games you didn't know about. I'll have my playlist of free Steam games you don't know about linked in the description. Thanks for watching, give me money on Patreon, and don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with this ongoing series.